activist who fights for Black people rights, or that's what he's supposed to be doing, fights for civil rights. He's like the modern day like civil rights leader, right? Like he's out here doing supposed to be doing a lot of good stuff for Black people. And I'm not saying Shaun King isn't, but I am saying Black people should stay far away from Shaun King. And here's my reasons why. Because it doesn't look like, and I'm not saying Shaun King has never done good work. Let me start by saying this. I'm not saying that Shaun King has never done good work, but there are reasons why people like Samaria Rice are coming out against Shaun King. So for those of you who don't know, Samaria Rice is the mother of Tamir Rice. And Samaria Rice has recently, in the last month, been putting out a lot of Facebook posts. And if she's done this before, I've never noticed. But in the last month, it's been brought to my attention. She's been put a lot of anti-Black Lives Matter organization, anti-Shaun King, anti-Tamika Mallory post, right? Like she's not feeling a speed anymore. She's not feeling Ben Crump. She's not feeling Shaun King, Tamika Mallory, any of those people. And because she feels like they are capitalizing on Black pain. They are not pain, Black trauma. She says they're capitalizing on Black bodies. And you don't have to take it from me. I will read you what a release that was allegedly put out by Samaria Rice. So let me share my screen first, and then we'll get into Mr. Shaun King and why Black people should stay away from him. So this is a tweet put out that is the official statement from the mother of Tamir Rice and Lisa Simpson, the mother of Richard Risher. Tamika D. Mallory, Shaun King, Benjamin Crump, Lee Merritt, Patrice Cullors, Melina Abdullah, and the Black Lives Matter Global Network needs to step down, stand back, and stop monopolizing and capitalizing on our fight for justice and human rights. We never hired them to be the representatives for the fight for justice for our dead loved ones murdered by the police. The activists have events in our cities and have not given us any substantial for using our loved ones' images and names on their flyers. The attorneys in our fight are also misleading in impact of the impacted families in the case of Tamir Rice. If it was even questionable as to whether Benjamin Crump knew the laws in depth in the state of Ohio. Remember, Tamir Rice was killed by the police in Ohio. I fired him. This is coming from Samaria Rice. I fired him 6 to 8 months into Tamir's case. We don't want or need y'all pandering, parading the streets, accumulating donations, platforms, movie deals, etc. off the death of our loved ones, while the families and communities are left clueless and broken. Don't say our loved ones' names, period. That's the truth. So this is coming from Samaria Rice. And this is big because we see that she's not the first to do this. Michael Brown Sr. came out in the last month and said he needs $20 million from Black Lives Matter because Black Lives Matter, the organization, came to prominence after the death of Tamir Rice and Michael Brown. And Michael Brown Sr. came out and said since his son died in 2014, he's gotten $500 from Black Lives Matter. Since his son died in 2014, he has received $500. Black Lives Matter, the organization, just reported their finances for the year 2020. They made $90 million. They made $90 million and said they've only spent about $30 million of it. So where in the hell's the other 60? That is the question. That is the question everybody should be asking. Where is the other 60? Damn where the 30 went, because nobody really knows. We don't have an itemized budget where the first 30 million went. But okay, where's the other 60 going? Where's the other $60 million at, and where's it going? So I come back to the Shaun King point, because Shaun King he saw the tweets and he saw all the things from Samaria Rice, and he actually writes an article. He thinks it's a good idea to write an article after she says stop using the name, image, and likeness of herself and her son. He thinks it's a good idea to write an article. And here is a snippet from the last paragraph of Shaun King's article that is titled, what is it titled again? It is titled Understanding the Pain, Grief, and Fury of Samaria Rice. As if he can understand this without talking to Samaria Rice. So he makes it's a long article, and I didn't read all of it, but it is basically he's trying to sympathize with Samaria Rice, but he's writing an article on a person he's never talked to. He's writing an article on a person at least he hasn't talked to recently, because she clearly doesn't want you using the name, image, and likeness of herself or her son that passed away. But instead, this is what Shaun King writes. I want to make sure you see this thing in its entirety. So I'm going to make it full screen. It says, and we're really going to focus on what's highlighted, because this is really big. What's being highlighted. It says, ultimately, this is at the very end. Ultimately, what I know is that a grieving mother like Samaria Rice has every right to be skeptical and hurt and suspicious and cynical. She wasn't born that way, but this evil and unrelentingly racist country forced her into that corner. It's our job to gracefully and patiently help her find her way out. Now, I don't know about you guys, but is this not some of the most insensitive, like basically victim blaming BS I've ever seen in my life? Ultimately, what I know is that a grieving mother like Samaria Rice has every right to be skeptical, suspicious, and cynical. She wasn't born this way, but this evil and unrelentingly racist country forced her into that. So Shaun King is making the assumption about Samaria Rice because she's calling all of you players out. Like, think about this. Shaun King, Tamika Mallory, Patrice Cullors, Black Lives Matter as an organization, Ben Crump, they've all gotten or been in connection to millions of dollars, blue checks, followers, exposure, book deals, TV deals. Hell, Tamika Mallory's at the damn Grammys. Now, I don't know about y'all, but what in the hell can the Grammys, what is the Grammys is part of the problem, not the solution. Yeah, I get it, exposure, whatever. But the Grammys is the same stage that Cardi B was up there and doing all the WAP stuff, and people are filing complaints for that. And y'all think that's part of the solution? I'm confused. I'm totally confused, because Samaria is pissed that you guys have become millionaires off the struggle, off the trauma, off the death of people like her son, Michael Brown's son, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor. You people have become rich and famous and well-known and requested. And she has a dead son. I'm totally confused. And she's the one that's cynical. She's the one, like, hell yeah, she's questioning everything. As she should. What have you guys done? Like, let's be real. All we've seen the organization, Black Lives Matter and Until Freedom, which is Tamika Mallory's, I'm not saying they haven't done any work. But we're talking about an organization that took in $90 million. We're just talking about Black Lives Matter. I don't know. Until Freedom, I had never heard of that before the Breonna Taylor case. And so I know they've gotten millions of dollars because there's a bunch of celebrities that lend their name to the Until Freedom, which is Tamika Mallory's thing. Hell, she's on the freaking Grammy stage. I seen her on Revolt. I seen her do these things with Killer Mike. So she's the most popular person in the civil rights movement, the current day civil rights movement in America. Tamika Mallory, without question. So you can't, why you guys have seemed to benefit monetarily. What Michael Brown Sr. saying he got $500 since his son died 7 years ago. His organization has received $500. Do you know what $90 million can do to change the people? And I'm not saying Shaun King hasn't done good work. I'm not saying he hasn't. But come on now, you have some damn nerve to be talking about she's angry and blah, 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 and use her name in your article to get clicks, to get views, to get likes or whatever. After she said, don't use our stuff, leave us alone. And you guys need to step down and stand back, get the hell out the way. And you sitting here I get it. You're trying to help black folks, whatever. But I pose this question, Shaun King. Why haven't you had a conversation with Samaria Rice? Why didn't you have a conversation before you decided to write this article? Why haven't you have you reached out to her? Have you seen why she's frustrated? Have you read those Facebook posts that she's putting out? There's a reason why that is put out there that way. Because clearly in the 7 years, we're talking about 7 years since the untimely killing, murder of her son by the police in Ohio. It seems like she said, folks is having rallies, folks is doing all this stuff in her city in the name of her son without her. Now, you tell me how that's acceptable. You tell me how that should be allowed. You tell me how she's supposed to feel. You're talking about the racist country, man. We get what America is, but what about you guys? What are y'all doing for Samaria Rice? What are y'all doing for these victims? And if Black lives really matter, what are you guys doing on the black on black crime? So besides the fact that the few people that are killed by the police, what are you doing about the actual other Black lives? People doing a whole lot for Asians right now. No offense to Asians, and I get it. There's no reason why there should be Asians attacked. But there's legislation being passed and fought to get for the Asians. Where is that for the Black people? I got other Black people telling me we can't get specific laws and things for us, but I see specific laws and things for the Asian community when they're getting an ounce of what we've been suffering throughout the history of this country. And so I say all of that to also say this. And I ask this question. I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm not trying to, just attack this man or whatever. Because if I'm not heard, Shaun King has done some good work. But to do Samaria Rice like this, like she's the crazy lady, the crazy lady with all the cats or something, it's just that pissed me the hell off. And so I had to do some digging because I was like, I don't really know much about Shaun King besides the fact I knew he came to prominence around the time Tamir Rice was murdered, the time the Michael Brown was murdered. That's when he kind of came to prominence. That's when he kind of made his name. And I was like, is Shaun King Black? Like, is Shaun King Black? Like, I had to ask that question because that matters. To say that don't matter, man, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. That matters if he's speaking on all these Black issues and trying to fix all these Black problems, these Black people problems. It matters if he's Black or not. So I had to do some digging. So I found this article from CNN back in 2015 because I just Googled. I put in a basic Google search, is Shaun King Black? And this is the article that came up. It says Black Lives Matter. This is dated. Look, August 20th, 2015. So right when he was starting to gain some steam. This is a picture with him and Cornel West. It says Shaun King, a leading voice in the Black Lives Matter movement, didn't mince words in his response to the allegations that he misrepresented his race and passed for Black when he's actually white. It says, quote, the reports about my race and about my past, about the pain I've endured are all lies. This is when he blogged this back in 2015. He said, quote, I refuse to speak on the detail about the nature of my mother's past or her sexual partners. And I'm gravely embarrassed to even be saying this now. But I have been told for most of my life that the white man on my birth certificate is not my biological father and that my actual biological father is a light-skinned Black man, he said. Think about this. Shaun King's mother is white. The person listed on his birth certificate is a white man. This is what's on his birth certificate. The person on his birth certificate is a white man. Shaun King's mother is white. So therefore, his ethnicity technically is white. Why does that matter? Why does it matter? It's a big deal. Let me read that one more time. This is not something I'm making up. This is an article from CNN. It says, I refuse. At first, he talks about, I refuse to speak on the detail about the nature of my mother's past or her sexual partners. So therefore, I don't know what the hell that means. I mean, it sounds like his mother might have been sleeping around. I don't know. Like he's saying he refused it because he's saying, or maybe she don't know who his daddy is. It's either she was sleeping around and don't know who his daddy is, or she lied and said a man was his daddy that he don't think is his dad. The person on his birth certificate is a white man, but he's saying people have told me. He said, but I have been told. I don't know who he's been told by, but he says, I have been told for most of my life that the white man on my birth certificate is not my biological father, that my actual biological father is a light-skinned Black man, King said. And so I guess Don Lemon asked him if he was Black or white. It says, quote, initially he did not respond, but later he referred to himself as biracial, Lemon said. But then I asked him That's what it shows on this birth certificate. I did not hear back from him. No answer. So why does this matter? Because black people have a long history of white folks, of white men telling us how to think, eat, sleep, drink, whatever. We have a long history of that. We have a long history of white folks trying to lead our movements. We have a history of white folks infiltrating our movements and derailing them. Now, I'm not saying that's what Shaun King's doing, but there is a history of that. Don't believe me? Look it up. There is a history of white people black people, allowing white people, trying to be the friendly, loving people that we are naturally. That's what we are naturally. We're friendly. They tell you that we're violent, we're disgusting, we're hateful, or whatever. But naturally, we're actually really loving and forgiving and inviting to everyone. That's why we're out here on the front lines of this Asian hate stuff. We're on the front line. Black people are on the front lines of that. The NAACP just put out a stop the hate against Asians. Like, I see it everywhere. Black folks everywhere fighting for the Asians. So you get what I'm saying? Because we're naturally loving. I didn't see any Asian people fighting in the name of George Floyd. I'm going to just be honest. I didn't see any Asian organizations fighting in the name of George Floyd. I didn't see any Asian organizations fighting in the name of Breonna Taylor. I didn't. I mean, I'm going to just be honest. I'm going to just be honest. I'm going to keep it 100. But I see black people at the forefront fighting for to stop the hate against Asians, right? And so back to Shaun King. The fact that he technically, through his birth certificate, has a Caucasian white mother and a Caucasian white father, and he says he's black just because he's been told by whoever throughout the history of his life that his dad is a light-skinned black man, bothers me. That bothers me. Because, like I said, we have this history of white people, particularly white men, infiltrating our organizations and derailing them and taking them for a spin and putting words in your mouth and telling you how you should think. I'm not saying Shaun King's that person. I'm just saying that there's a history there. So when I hear him saying Samaria Rice is this, making it seem like she's some angry, delusional, bitter person and that she should be rooting for him and Tamika Mallory and Ben Crump because they get these settlements for these people. The cops get off free. No, hell no. I'm never going to be cool with that. Or that he should be rooting for Tamika Mallory because she's on the Grammys. Like, what? Are we serious right now? Because she's spoken. Don't believe me. Look up his article. It says, why is she attacking Tamika Mallory when Tamika Mallory's on the Grammys fighting for our people? Like, you see how much of a contradiction that is? She's on the Grammy stage fighting for our people. That don't even sound right when you say it out loud. So, like Shaun King, I mean, best of luck to you, man. I think I read a tweet from Jason Whitlock and said he's uncancelable. Like, there's no way you can actually cancel Shaun King. He's in too deep. But, at the end of the day, I just want the best for my people, man. I really do. I just want the best for us. And so, therefore, when people like Samaria Rice, who's actually lost someone in this, Black Lives Matter movement, her son is one of the figureheads, the staples especially in the beginning of the Black Lives Matter movement. We should actually listen when she speaks. We should actually listen to when she's hurting, and we shouldn't just dismiss her feelings and act like she's negligent and don't know what the hell she's talking about, because that's just not true. And so that's what I have to. If I had anything to say to Shaun King, I'm like, yo, brother, maybe you should listen to Samaria, get the hell out the way, and let the folks who's really fighting for our people. And not to say that he ain't done nothing good, but at the end of the day, a lot of these Black Lives Matter people have capitalized monetarily. They've capitalized monetarily. Like I said, there's $60 million still out there somewhere. That's all I have to say on this. Once again, I'm Jeff Lightsy Jr. at the Black Boss Channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out. I'll see you guys.